Okay. Good morning, everyone. In these sessions, we are going to learn about how to store the data, the basic things regarding like what is shared preference, what is files, SQLite database, how other storage options will be there, how you need to backup, how it is going to work, what is a Firebase. So let's learn all these things. So in this first, we are going to learn about storing the data. So in that, as I said, we are going to learn about shared preference, files, SQLite database, other storage options, and how we need to back up the data and what about the Firebase. So first thing, as we know that Android provides several options for your for the storage purpose of your application data, right? Okay, that the solution whatever it has been dependent on our specific needs, whether the particular data is need to be a private or your application data should be a private, or whether your application data whether it can be accessible to the other applications also. So how much space requires for your data, so all these things we are going to see here. So maybe your data storage options may be of a shared preference or internal storage, external storage, or SQLite database, or a network connection, cloud backup, and content providers, and Firebase real-time databases. So shared preferences is nothing but you are going to store a private data. Okay, the private data will be stored in a key value page. That is about the store shared preference. So internal storage means private data will be stored in the internal memory. So external storage will be public data on the shared external storage. Okay, public data will be stored on the external storage. SQLite database, it means the private database will be stored in a structured data. Okay, structured data will be in a private database. So network connection means you are going to store the data on the web. Okay, by using over the network. Okay, by using the network, you are going to store the data on the web. And cloud backup, backing up your applications, whatever the applications you are going to back up, and your data will be stored in the cloud. Next, content providers means store data privately. So whatever the data will be there, that will be going to store privately, and that data is going to be accessed publicly. Okay, next is Firebase real-time database. You are going to store and sync data with NoSQL cloud database. So if you are using a Firebase real-time database, you are going to store the data and you are going to synchronize the data with the NoSQL database, cloud database. So these are all the different data storage options. Okay, shared preference, internal storage, external storage, SQLite database, network connection, cloud backup, and content providers, Firetime, real-time databases. So in this chapter, we are going to learn all these with a basic knowledge. Okay, as I said, shared preference in the shared. If you are using a data storage as a shared preference, your data will be going to be stored as a private primitive data. Okay, it's a whatever the data will be there. Okay, that data is a private primitive data. That data is going to be stored as a key value pair. Okay, as it's a key value pair when you are using a shared preference. Okay, so using shared preferences, where it's a way where you are going to read or write key value pairs of information persistently to and from file. Okay, so it means that when you are using a shared preference, whatever the data will be there, that data is going to be stored in a whether you are going to write the data into a file, that will be in a key value pair. Whether you want to read the data from the file, that will be in a key value pair. Okay, this in detail about this shared preference in the coming sessions we are going to learn in detail in the next chapter. Next is files. So Android uses file system that's similar to disk-based file system on other platforms such as Linux. Okay, file-based operations should be familiar to anyone. So whatever the file-based operations should be known to the everyone. Okay, when it means who has used Linux file IO or Java IO package, they will be knowing about this Linux based. file-based operations. Okay, and files means as we are using an Android devices, we know that there is an external storage, there is an internal. What is that external storage? What are the those are all the file storage areas. Okay, Android device will be having a two file storage areas, that is internal storage and external storage. Okay, so we think that internal storage is different and external storage is different. So we need to know that whatever in the Android devices, we are getting an internal storage and external storage. So as an user is know that that is external, that is internal. But as an Android device, both the storage is same, but it is divided as internal and external. Okay, so the names so just to understand purpose, those names are given. Okay, both the whatever the storage you are going to store for your installation of your application, that is an external storage. Whatever the Android device built-in applications will be there, that is will be in an internal storage. Okay, both the storage will be in your Android device only. Okay, so most of our devices built in, so it will be having a built-in internal storage, that is non-volatile memory. Okay, that is an internal storage. And also you will be having a removable storage medium such as micro SD. Okay, so for example, in your Android device you will get an option, expandable memory. You can put up to 512 GB, 256 GB, like that is an external storage. Okay, some of the devices divide the permanent storage into two portions, that is internal portions and external. As I said, Android device will be whatever the storage is coming within the Android device, all the storage will be of a one storage. Okay, that is a permanent storage. That permanent storage space is divided into two portions, that is internal portions and external portions. And so this it is apart from the removable storage medium. Whatever the internal partition and external partition will be there, that is apart from the removable storage medium. So always two storage pieces and API behavior is same whether the external storage is removable or not. So let's see about what is this internal and external storage. Okay, so what are the facts we will come to know. So internal storage will always available, so external storage not always available. So why? Because user can mount the external storage as USB. In some cases, you can remove it from the device. Okay, but that is an external storage. It is not always available. So internal storage for your Android devices will be always available. So next is only your app can access files. What is this? Only your app can access file. So it means whatever the app's internal storage will be there, that app's internal storage directory is specified by your apps package. So, so in the previous sessions, you came to know that regarding that. So in your, for example, if you take a simple calculator, okay, so there you have created an Android project. In Android Studio, you have created an Android project. Okay, so there you will be getting a package, right? So that particular application will be having a package name. Okay, that package name can only be access the that package can only access the internal storage. So that your apps package name in a special location of a Android file systems. Okay, wherever whether the other apps cannot browse your internal directories. Okay, other apps cannot browse your internal and do not have read or write access unless you explicitly set files to be readable or writable. See, whatever the internal storage will be there, that you cannot, the users cannot have a permission to read or write that files. Okay, so unless you give a permission to read or write, then it can only be readable or writable. Whereas in the external storage, word readable. So any app can read the files. Okay, so internal in the internal storage, so when the user uninstalls your application, okay, when the user uninstalls an application, the system removes all your application files from the internal storage. Okay, so for example, you have been installed any application in your Android device, so that on the moment, like you have used for a few months or one day. Likewise, so if you don't want, you are not comfortable with the application, so if you uninstall, what happens? So whatever the files have been installed of that particular applications, that is going to be removed from your internal storage. So in the external storage, when the user installs your application, okay, when the user uninstalls an application, the system is going to remove that application files. Okay, the system is going to be removed from the application files from if you save them in the directory from the particular method, that is external files directory. So for example, you are deleting some applications. Okay, for example, you have been installed some of the collage applications or any uh, social media, any other applications likewise. So if, for example, you have been created some of the images or anything, so you want to save those files, but you need to uninstall that files. Now, this can be done using a method get external files directory. Okay, so next is internal storage is best when you want to know sure that neither the user or uh, nor other apps can access the files. Okay, so you need to know that whenever in the internal storage, no users can access the files of that particular applications. So in the external storage, where files do not require access restrictions, uh, and for files that you want to share with other applications and users are allows to access within the computer. So this is about internal and external storage. So in the internal storage, uh, see, in the internal storage, there is no permission is required to save the files on the internal storage. Okay, so there is no need to have any permission whenever you want, if you want to save any files on the internal storage. Okay, already whatever the applications will come, that applications will be having a permission to read and write files in its internal storage directly. So how we are going to create? So you can create the files. You can create the files in the internal storage with two different directories. That is permanent storage and temporary storage. So if you are going for the permanent storage, you need to use a method get files directory. If you are going for a temporary storage, you need to use a method get cache directly. So when you are using this temporary storage, so whenever your applications will be having a small or any temporary files, if the particular files is less than 1 MB, in those cases you are going to use this temporary storage, that is get cache directory method. So to create a new file in one of these directories, okay, that is about the directories. Within those directories, if you want to create a new files, okay, so what you should use a constructor, file constructor. So when you are going to use these files constructors, when you are extending a class file, then you are going to create file constructor. So by passing file provided by one of the method, okay, where that should specifies the internal storage directory. Okay, so this is how we are going to create a new file within the directory. File object for that file, creating an instantiation of that file, then context dot get files directory, and whatever the file name you want, you need to specify. Then by this statement, you can create a file within one of the directories. So other things like you can call not only this method, there is another method like you can use a method like open file output. You can use method open file output method. You can call this particular method and you can get a file output stream. Okay, you can get a file output stream where this particular file is going to write to the files. Where it is going to write to the files within the internal directory. So this is a simple example where this example says you are going to write some text to a particular file. Okay, this example is going to say you are writing some text to a particular file where you have been string file name. You are going to writing that this particular string is going to write within that particular file. So as I said, when you are writing alternative method, you should use a file output stream object for the file output stream. You should use an exception output stream. So how we are going to write open file output? Okay, open file output is a method where you are going to pass a file name and particular context mode. Okay, then once you open the file by this particular open file output method, then there is a method write method in the output stream, that is file output stream class. So string dot get bytes. So once you're done with the write, close. This is an exception. Okay, So, and this example is says about how you are going to this particular example, how you, the file name, you are going to extract the file name from a URL. Okay, you are going to extract the file name from the URL and creates a file with that name in your application internal cache memory. Okay, your application so how this can be done? So you need to catch some files instead of creating a temp file. Okay, instead of creating a temp file, you need to catch some files. So let's see with an example how the particular method is going to be extract the file name from the URL and creating a file with that particular URL name in the internal cache directory. So get temp file. Okay, we are passing the context and the URL file string. So URI did parts. So you are passing this particular URI. So from that, you are going to get the last path segment from that particular. This method is going to get the last path of the URL. Okay, then you are going to file dot create temp file name whatever null that catch direct. Well, this is how to do it. So next is other permissions for uh, so one more thing, after this internal storage, there will be an external storage. Okay. So whenever you are using an external storage for files, that should be a permanent. Okay. That should be of a permanent stored storage, even if you uninstall your applications. And also after uninstalling your applications, that particular data should be freely available for to other users and apps. Okay, for example, if you uninstall your applications also, like pictures or drawings or any documentations of your applications, that should be there in your storage. Okay, and next is obtain permissions for external storage. Okay, uh, to write to the external storage. Okay, if you want to write to the external storage, how you are going to write to the external storage, whether for that you need to have a some permission. Okay, you need to have a request permission, that is write external storage. Okay, so that is write external storage where you are going to specify this permission. So you need to specify this permission in the manifest file. So as you see here, within the manifest, in the manifest there is a manifest element user permission. In the name attribute you are going to specify the permission when you want to write to the external storage. Okay, so if your app needs to read the external storage, okay, if your app needs to read the external storage, for example, you have seen when you are installing an applications, it will ask that particular application is going to have access to the media or gallery or microphone or camera. So likewise, it is going to ask for the it means that that particular application is going to read the external storage. Okay, but it is not going to write anything, but it is going to access that particular storage. Okay, then what you need, so you need for those things, if you need to happen, then you need to specify the permission. Okay, so that is read external storage, read underscore external underscore storage permission. So this permission you should specify within the manifest file. Okay, so that particular user permission attribute and name with the, you need to specify the permission. Next is always check whether external storage is mounted. So what is this external storage mounted? Because why you are going to check whether the external storage is mounted? Because the external storage may be unavailable. Okay, so whether you should, it means that you need to verify that particular external storage is available. Okay, before you are accessing that storage, you should check whether that particular volume or the storage is available or not. Whether such as user has mounted the storage to PC or as a RIM, or you will be having an SD card. So SD card is an external storage. So whether you should check whether that particular external storage is available or not before you are going to mount it. Okay. So so before accessing it, you need to check viewer. So for that, you need to have a query to the external stating that you can call get external storage state. Okay, how you are going to check whether that particular external storage is available or unavailable. We need to use a method that is get external storage state. Okay, we need to use a method get external storage state. So if that particular external storage state is there, it is there, is equal. So how it will tell what is that equal. So that is to mounted media underscore mounted. Then you can read and write your files. Then you can read and write your files. The following methods are useful to determine storage availability. So this particular example tells about the storage availability, whether it is storage availability is present or not. Okay. So first this see here, this particular code says check if external storage is available for read or write. Okay. Okay. Is external storage writable? That particular state you are going to get for the get external storage state. Okay. When it is going to be get when that particular state is equals to media mounted. Okay. This particular state is equals to media mounted, then it is going to return true, or else it is going to return false. Okay, this particular code checks if external storage is available, at least read. Okay, so is expandable, is external storage readable? Same wise, you need to use an get external storage state. You need to make equal to that particular media mounted. So if it is equal, and what here we should do, we are checking the external storage is available for only read purpose. Again, and media mounted read only is equal to that particular state, then it is going to return true, or else it is going to return false. So next is private and public and private external storage. Okay. So external storage is specifically structured and used by the Android system. So there are public directories and private directories specific to the applications what we going to install. So each of these files, okay, each of these files has tree has directories identify the system constants. See, for example, any files that you store into public ringtone directory ringtones, okay, directory ringtones are available to all other ringtone apps. See, or any of your files you store in private ringtone directory. So directory ringtones can be by default only seen by your app and deleted along with your applications. See, simple, just to understand this, we can say that, for example, when you are going to, in the settings, you will be having a sounds, right? That is default. So those things you can say it as a private storage, external storage. That is, you are going to get for that particular application only. So next is getting file descriptors. Okay, getting file descriptors. Okay, to access a public storage directory. Okay, where so when you are accessing the public external storage directory, so what you need to do, you need to get a path of that particular storage directory. You need to get a path of that particular storage directory, and you need to create a file. After getting a path, you need to create a file by calling a method get external storage public directory. Okay, you need to get external storage public directory. So this is how you are going to access the public storage directory. File object path environment dot get to external storage public directory directories. Then you are creating a file. So when you are going to access the private external storage directory, what we need to do means we need to get a path and we need to create a file. We need to get a path and we need to create a file using by calling a method get external files dir. Okay, get external files dir. So how we are going to use? We're going to use like this. This is how we are going to get the file descriptors from the public external storage directory and the private external storage directory. So next is querying storage space and deleting files. Querying storage space, what does it mean? So how much data you are saving when you're installing applications? Whether when you are installing applications, we need to find out sufficient space is available without causing an IO exceptions. See, for example, when you are installing an 1 GB game application for your device. So whether first we need to check whether that particular space is available in the Android device or not. Okay, so how we are going to check without causing any IO exceptions? Okay, without causing any IO exceptions, that particular application needs to check sufficient space is available on the device or not. Okay, so how it is going to check? It is going to check by calling a method get free space, get total space. Okay, it is going to check by the calling a method get free space and get total space methods. What these methods are? So this methods provides the current available space and the total space in the storage value. Okay, so it means that this particular get free space method, if you use this, if you call this particular method, it is going to provide current available space. Okay, this is going to provide the current available space of the device. So if you use get total space method, it is going to give the total space of the storage volume. Okay. See, if you not do this, okay, if you are not going to check the amount of available space before you save the file, okay, before you're saving the application, so okay, if you are not going to check, so instead of that, you can try to write a file right away. Okay, that is catch and IO exceptions if one occurs. So then you may need to know how exactly how much space you need to know. So where so after that, if you delete any files from your storage, okay, you should always delete the file. So remember, when you are using an Android device, if that particular file is not necessary, is no longer needed for your device or you user, then that particular file should not be present on the Android device. So how we are going to delete that? You can delete the file, okay, by opening a file reference. By opening a file reference, you can call a method delete method on itself. Okay, you delete method on itself. See, simple thing to understand. See, for example, you uninstall an application from your Android device. So you can go and check with in the storage, there is an Android folder. So if whatever the application you have been installed, all the files will go to that going to get deleted. So how it is going to get deleted? So on itself, it is going to call an delete method. So if the file is saved in an internal storage, okay, if the file is stored in an internal storage, so you can also ask the context to locate. So if you need to locate that file by using a context, and then you can delete it. Delete, how we are going to delete? By calling a method delete file. Which context it is, and delete that particular file. So next is SQLite database. Okay, so say how this database, it means that when you want to save a data into the database, okay, when you are going to save the data into the database, so it should be in a repeating or structured data, okay, such as a contact information. So Android provides SQL like database for this purpose. Okay, see, this is the following some of the chapters where to practically teach in your depth of how to use a SQLite database. Some of these chapters is going to think. So that is SQLite Premier, Introduction to SQLite Database, SQLite Data Storage Practical, Searching an SQLite Database Practical. So we will learn this SQL, all these things in the upcoming sessions. There is a separate chapters for this. So next is, so before going to the backup, so network connection. Okay, before going to the backup, network connection. So for storing or retrieving the data on the web-based services, then you can go for a network. Okay, to do have a network operations on your Android devices. If you want to use a network operations, okay, then you need to use a package. In Android Studio provides a package that is java.net.star, and one more package is android.net.star. Okay, these two packages provides when you are using network operations, whenever you are performing a store or retrieving the data on the web-based services. So now coming up with the backup application data. So commonly user is not going to manually do all the backup for the data or setting the preferences for each one of the applications. Okay, so users need easy access. Okay, preserving that data. Okay, so that you can replace. Why you will do backup? So if you uninstall any applications, again you want to do have a same data on that particular applications, then you can use a backup set. Okay, it's an important part and a main role whenever you are having developing an applications. So let's check with an auto backup for Android 6.0 and higher. Okay, that is API level 23. See, for apps, as we know, for the apps, the target SDK version, that is Android 6.0, that is API level 23 and higher devices, which is running. Okay, that all the higher devices will be automatically backup data to the cloud. Whatever the data of your will be there, that is going to be backup to the cloud. See, this automatic feature preserves. Why this automatically backup? This automatic backup is going to uh, preserves the data of your application that creates on user device by uploading it to user's Google Drive account and encrypting. The system is going to perform automatic backup nearly all app data by default. Okay, so does so without having to write any additional backup code. See, when a user is going to install an app on the new devices, okay. So, for example, whenever the user installs a new applications on the Android device, or the user is reinstalls the applications on one. Okay, see, for example, if you've done any factory resetting on your phone, for example, you think that you have been doing the factory reset, it means that all your data and your applications will be deleted completely. Okay, what happens in these higher versions? So when you restore when you're done with the factory reset, when you again go back to the phone, Android device, that automatically restores your app data from the cloud. Okay, the automatic backup feature for this, the automatic backup feature preserves the data of the application, whatever it is going to be created. Okay, so and one more thing, you need to know that that data will be stored automatically to the Google Drive account in an encrypting format. Okay, it is going to be stored in your Google Drive in an encrypting format. See, and one more thing you need to know, there is no charge to you or the user for data storage. And the saved data does not count towards the Google personal account to drive. Okay. See, when you are using a Google account, you will be getting 15 GB of free space. So whatever in the Android device you are going to backup, that data is not going to be counted on the Google Drive personal data storage. Okay. So each app can store up to 25 MB. Once it is backup reaches to the 25 MB, so then no longer sends the data to the cloud. So if system performs a data restore, it uses the last data snapshot that app has sent to the cloud. Okay, so automatic backup, when this automatic backup going to be occurred? See, for example, you have been seen when the backup is going on, you are most commonly the device will be in an idle state, or when the device may be in a charging state, or some of the applications is going to be backup when it is connected to the Wi-Fi network. And one main point you need to remember, once the application is going get backup, so next backup will be for at least 24 hours. Have you seen, for example, in a WhatsApp application, when it is automatically going to be backup, so not every time it is going to backup. Once in 24 hours, it is going to be backup. So in these cases, the automatic backup occurs. So let's now say about a backup for Android 5.1, that is Android API level 21 and lower. Okay, API level 21 and lower. See, for users with previous versions of Android, so who are all the users using the older, that is API 22, that is Android 5.1 or the lower devices. So there you need to have a backup API where we need to use a backup API. Why? To implement a data backup. Okay, you implement a data backup, we need to use a backup API, right? Okay, so this requires, so when you are implementing the backup API, it is going to require register for Android backup service to get the backup service key. So next thing, you need to configure your manifest to use a backup service. Next thing, you need to create a backup agent by extending a class backup agent helper. Then after, you need to request backup when the data has changed. So in the world, so nowadays you need not to worry, because whatever the Android versions are coming, all the versions are automatic auto backup. So next is Firebase. So this Firebase is a mobile platform that helps you develop apps. Okay. So Firebase is a mobile platform where this platform is going to help to develop your applications or grow your user base, or you can earn more money. Okay, this Firebase is made up of complementary features. Okay, this Firebase is made up of a complementary features that you can mix and match with the fits of the user needs. Okay, say one in the Firebase. Okay, in the Firebase, if you want to perform data management, okay, if you want to perform a data management, this particular Firebase is going to offer a real-time database. Okay, this real-time database, that is sync and store data with NoSQL Cloud. Sync and data with the NoSQL Cloud, connects apps, share data, hosted in cloud, data is stored in JSON, data is synchronized in real time to every connected client, data remains available when your app goes offline. Okay, these things will be offered in the real-time database when you are performing a data management. So this is about the storing the data, the Android device.